Hey folks, welcome to Playing in Traffic. Today's episode, it's definitely a tribute memorial episode. Who's calling? Stop. Spam. Jerk. Go away. Today's episode is tribute memorial. It's something I feel, I guess will be therapeutic for me to do. I mean, please don't knock the thermostat over. Can you see her tail? You can't. I almost could see the dog's tail and she's on the floor. Okay, finally we'll get to the point. Memorial tribute to my experience, my personal experience with Ozzy Osbourne. Never met him, didn't need to. But like, to break this down, Ozzy just passed yesterday, July 22nd. Actually, a good friend of mine that I played music with for a long time is the one who broke the news to me. And you know, at first I was like, yeah, oh wow, Ozzy died, did he? And then I realized, like, here's a major part of who I am musically. A lot of joy. We all know we use music. It's therapy it's therapy for me. Okay? Music always has been. Great organic escape to a cluttered mind, etc., etc. We know how that works. So it's funny. I was born in 1966. Ozzy literally started Black Sabbath, what, 1968, 2 years after I was born. And it wasn't really until I got into high school did I actually start really liking music and really getting into music. Well, but that's a common thing with a lot of people. And but my first year in high school was 1980. And I don't know how I got around to being Ozzy Osbourne. I forget what the first. I'm going to assume the first song being it was played on the radio was Crazy Train. So I remember specifically being in high school and going, yeah, I like Ozzy Osbourne, and getting dumped on, whether it was freshman year, sophomore year. You like Ozzy? Dude, Sabbath, oh man, his solo stuff sucks. And Sabbath is it, man. Anything he does now is trash. So that was always fun to listen to those jerk-offs with their music opinions. By the way, anyone that really has one and shits on somebody else's interest in music, you can go, yeah, I'm going to be nice because I think my granddaughter's going to watch this, but do know that's pathetic, okay? So anyway, high school, I'm an Ozzy fan. I'm not going to say there wasn't Ozzy fans, there was. But I remember probably hearing Crazy Train, and then, because interestingly enough, Black Sabbath fired him in 1979. I'm sure they all partied, but Ozzy partied too hard for them, and was, I guess, too reckless on the business end of, I don't know. I don't know the details. I've never really read anybody's autobiography on anything in that regard, but I do know that he was fired because of excessive, like, alcohol abuse, substance abuse, and they didn't want to deal with him. So he moves on, goes solo. But I remember going to the record store. Ready for this? This is the one. So I bought this. Look at this. Watch it go across your screen. This is my copy that I purchased. I'm going to probably say this came out, what, did Blizzard of Oz came out in 1980. I do not remember buying it in 1980. I do remember by, say, late 81 having this, because I was really entrenched. I was really like, yo, I dig this stuff. And this is the copy I bought, probably from either Wall to Wall Sound. I forget the other. It could have been Sound of Market on Market Street in Philly. It could have been any number of places, and it probably was Sound of Market. Haven't opened this in a while. Do we got some inner sleeve action? We do. We got a light bit of artwork. Oh no, we got a whole lot of good stuff here. So you got this going on, but then you flip it and you get the lyrics. You get the lyrics to the songs. What a joy this is. Yeah, baby, look at that. Yeah. There it is, opened up. It's still, hey, this is the copy I bought. I don't know. It could be worth 2 cents. It could be worth $20,000. I really don't care. Going in the grave with it. I don't know. Ended up being probably one of my favorite all-time songs from Ozzy, because the times I did see him in concert, he'd have this. I forget what he used as his intro before he entered the stage. But it was awesome. Dun 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 dun. Bum 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 bum. Hey, you know the one. Dun 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 dun. That one. And then it would all of a sudden it would just rip into to the point that when I turned 50, was that 50? So I play. You all know if you follow my channel. You look at my playlist, I play in the Heels. I was in the Pagan Babies. Yo, when I turned 50, we opened up with I Don't Know. And that's on YouTube somewhere. And I might even put it in the links because of, again, it's tribute time to the one and only Prince of Darkness. But anyway, I Don't Know. I Don't Know is on Blizzard of Oz. Obviously, Crazy Train. I love Goodbye to Romance. I dig D, Suicide Solution. I love Mr. Crowley. And I think the one that, I mean, well, No Bone Movies is sick too, but I think one of the all-time great Ozzy songs that I don't hear enough people talk about is Steal Away the Night. So anyway, that was Blizzard of Oz. So while I'm sitting here documenting, and the reason why I kind of just am doing this is just love for Ozzy Osbourne. Like, a love for Ozzy Osbourne, period. And being a musician, having played a bunch of shows over decades, he's just a major influence. And what I realize is that a lot of people, for the first time, their experience with live concerts and yeah, in general, was Ozzy Osbourne. Whether it was Sabbath and a full 15 years after I was born, I started buying Ozzy records. And by 1983, I went to, I think he was the first concert I went to. Now, I was, 16 at the time? My household, I really wasn't, it was a short leash to a degree. 1983, I started going to concerts, and I went to them as often as I possibly could go to. And the first one I went to was Ozzy Osbourne. The opening act was Vandenberg. My parents took me and two of my buddies to Atlantic City, New Jersey, and at the Atlantic City Convention Hall was the first time I saw a concert. And it was mind-blowing. It's a shame, because I actually, at the time, after going back from the show, I made my own art, my own picture of what I remember the stage looking like, and some of the more personable comments that Ozzy made during the show. That's what I did. I kind of wish I still had that, because I love them. And I kind of feel like there's an outside chance it may turn up still in a box somewhere. I don't know, but it had that kind of impact, you know, the whole experience. And that was the first time I saw a concert of his. And one of the things I love about Ozzy Osbourne, too, on top of that, is the fact that not only was he such an influential and just polarizing figure, the music was great, his image was great, and then as you grew older, like, for instance, I'm looking at my notes right now, so I got so let me switch to this. So bought Blizzard of Oz, and there's an outside chance I bought this with Blizzard of Oz, because Diary of a Madman was out, put out in 1981. There's an outside chance I got the Blizzard record and I got Diary of a Madman together, and was just like, yo, this, look, dude, look at this, look at this. No, please, all of it. Look, yo, it's 2025. It still holds up. All of it still holds up. Look at this back photo, back of the record. Now, of course, you start looking at them, that cross image over his head, and that's where the rumors of satanic, and he was a Satanist and blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, he literally was a church-going guy. prayed before every concert. I got to be honest with you. I don't care what you do. I really don't. I'm not the one getting sacrificed anywhere. This music was just absolutely phenomenal. So what we saw, the front cover, the back cover. Let's see if we got something. Oh, we do. And we got this dope picture. Oh, and ready? Let's just do this. Look at this photo on the back. Look, you're already seeing Randy Rhoads. Right, Randy Rhoads. Right there. You know who Randy Rhoads is there. Apparently that was Ozzy's love. That was the love of his life. Sick inner sleeve art. God knows what that said. I remember writing this. See that writing? I wrote that on my book bag. Yeah, that's how that was going. And you flip it, and the lyrics, and this is like so similar to any kind of punk rock, hardcore punk, inner sleeve lyric sheet. If you were a band and you had the money and budget to actually get this gloss, glossy-ish finish, and that looks like that. I mean, that was sick. Period. So you had all the freaking lyrics back there and a bunch of this stuff, which was like, woo, baby. What's going on here? This record, forget about it. Again, Over the Mountain, Flying High again. I will listen to Flying High again. Over the Mountain. All the rest of the songs on this record, honestly, Over the Mountain and Flying High again, I will listen to minimum two times a month for so far since I had the record, and that's been since the record was printed. That's really the way that goes. That's all I can say. I wanted to share this too. So, with the release of Bark at the Moon in 1983, so having seen Ozzy in Atlantic City in 1983, the next time I saw a concert with him was literally I don't even know if it was about 8 months later in January. Folks, look at the date. This is 1984. This is the actual, I used to make a scrapbook back then, which I'm really glad I did. So you see Bark at the Moon tour. So this is 1984. You see, look at this bill. Motley Crue and Wasted at the Spectrum, Philadelphia. I used to like that back then because the newspaper, I think this was the Inquirer. Look at this. Look at the ticket prices. Well, you knew they were going to be wild looking, but look at that. Look at that phone number. You didn't even need an area code. Right, so we got all that. So you got this whole story. If you're interested in that story, like all of it, I will actually just DM me or something. Message me on YouTube and I'll send it to you some kind of way. This is a story that came out right around that stable condition after a mirror blew up in his face during a video shoot. This guy had 9 lives. He had 9 lives. I'm pretty sure there were times where his heart stopped based on what he was doing, and just, oh boy, wow. Anyway, that concert was freaking spectacular, and I wanted to show you this. This is stuff that I've kept over, obviously a long time. Was this article in the newspaper probably right around this time, prior to him playing those dates at the Philadelphia Spectrum. Also wanted to say that with items of Ozzy Osbourne memorabilia that I have, back when, I just moved down to Georgia, so I was in Philadelphia for 57 years. At Margaret and Orthodox, right up the street from there, they had a record seller, but a record store, and they used to actually have a ton of bootlegs, and I got a couple good ones. I got some that were like, the production was as expected. One day I walked in there, definitely before 1987, and found this, right? And, went home, put this on the turntable. That's what they were calling it. And there goes your song, there goes your list. Definitely like a greatest hits. And, what does it say? Well, it says it's printed in France. It is what it is. I'm sure it don't even have a label. It don't. It's a bootleg. It's bootleg vinyl. Bought it there. 1987 came around at some point with a printed record from Ozzy Osbourne called Tribute, Randy Rhoads Tribute record, because that's him on this record. I think it was this. So I don't know. I guess this came out earlier. Very similar song list. I think Tribute has more songs. Just wanted to mention that. This Heavy Metal Holocaust, they called it, at the old bootleg store, right at the bottom of Margaret and Orthodox Street on, I guess that was Oxford Avenue. Yeah, how about that? Yeah. You know, you could see over here, there's some figurines. I do a lot of things, and I love it. I just bought this probably back in, I guess about 6 months ago, maybe 4. I had to show that too. Really had to show that. In this video, not a long video, just wanted to, I guess, interject my own personal memories, my own personal recognition of what the impact Ozzy Osbourne had in my life. I remember that Bark at the Moon. I remember that having some steps, I think. Like, the stage setup was phenomenal. It really was phenomenal. And one of the great things about Ozzy, and one of the reasons why, I mean, the longevity, it's almost unmatched. Especially with the physicality of what he was doing. That stuff was moving quick at times. Like, Journey to the Center of the Universe. Journey to the center of the... Was it universe? Right? Journey to the center of something. I thought it was universe. That song was blazing. And I think that was on Bark of the Moon anyway. I gotta get back. Let me get back on point. Yo, by 19... So Ozzy's playing, that first time I saw him in Atlantic City was on the Speak of the Devil tour. I didn't have that record. Interestingly, and that was a lot of Sabbath. That was the Sabbath. That was his Sabbath stuff with that lineup in that year. Which I think that was 1982. Speak of the Devil. And saw him there. One thing he always did, and it's a laundry list of absolutely spectacular guitar players. Obviously, Randy Rhoads. Starting that off. Ozzy knew who to have around him. As he aged, was still fun to see and fun. But he kept it. He had some young snipers on guitar. He had young snipers everywhere positioned in his bands. Not only that, but like by 1986, I saw Ozzy for the 3rd time, and that was at the Spectrum again. And that record was called The Ultimate Sin. At that point, I was into a new style of heavy, mostly hardcore punk and some speed metal. And I'll admittedly state that I went to that show because Metallica opened. And it was like, I love Metallica. And at that point, I was, and they were touring on Master of Puppets, believe that or not. And it's not, there's nothing not to believe. It is what if you were there, you were there. You know what I mean? If you were there, you experienced then there's another one, an iconic moment in music, because it was prior to Cliff Burton passing. Cliff Burton was up there doing his thing. They opened the show, and it started. I always know, everywhere Ozzy went, he had the best opening talent. He didn't care if they blew him off stage. He didn't care. That's the kind of shows he put out. And then when he started doing Ozfest, you really knew, like, this guy is just on the, like, he is going to put you over. You know what I mean? He's going to do his thing. And I don't even think he's really worried about so much where it ranks in the order of the night. But he's just going to put the best freaking talent out there, the stuff everybody wants to see, and his ego's going to take a back step, because them bands are going to be cooking. And Metallica was on the Master of Puppets tour. Oh my God, dude. That night, and that was I don't even have. I think that was April 20th, 1986. And Cliff Burton was up there with them. It was a miracle. You just saw, it was like seeing a unicorn. No, Dave Mustaine was not with them at that point. But like just seeing that lineup of Metallica at that point in time, and that again is a tribute, again another tribute to Ozzy Osbourne, because it's like the dude just, that's what he was doing. He had great performances. I think that particular one that night wasn't one of his best. Who cares? The 2 other times I saw him, it was literally mind-blowing. He was freaking incredible. And then, I wasn't as big a Motley Crue fan back then, but you got to see Motley Crue open up for him during the Bark at the Moon tour. That was what was that? Let me look over here. What was that one? 1984? Really? Yeah, that's what he did. So Ozzy passed yesterday, July 22nd, 2025. And just a legacy that, for a guy like me, that legacy, oh my God, man. Like, rest easy, buddy. And then to have that back to the beginning, whatever they named that event that just happened, I think that was in England, and it's 17 days prior to his passing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, the timing of that. And I know that's why he wanted to come out, last time on stage, last performance. Wow. And I know it was moving. I saw some of it. The reaction to it from a lot of people, it was just genuine, like just emotions coming through of people watching him get through the song or whatever he was trying to perform. And I saw bits and pieces of that and was like, oh God, it even shook me. It shook me too, period. So yeah, all right, folks, thanks for watching. I'm glad you checked in. Maybe it's something that anyone that's kind of trying to survive this time in their life, because Ozzy had that impact on you, stop on through and have a great day, pleasant tomorrow. Crank this guy. Look, I don't even need him to pass. I did not need him to pass to play. What the hell did I play yesterday? Did I even get around to an Ozzy track yesterday? Because when I'm in the car, it's almost... Bark at the Moon is just literally one of my favorite freaking songs to drive a car to. Period. And that's been going on for, 40 years. Yeah, 40 years. A little more. Yeah, 40. I've been driving, but only driving since I forgot it. I can't even remember. 1989 or whatever. But anyway, yeah. As long as I could drive, please. So, yeah. Have a great day, pleasant tomorrow. Rest in peace, the Prince of Darkness. And I will see you next episode.